Welcome to another week. For many of us, we are laser focused on the details of our lives this week and the minutia of all the little things that we feel like we need to get done or that we need to accomplish. And sometimes that brings to mind that saying of, you can't see the forest through the trees. Sometimes we're so focused on the little details of life that we don't see the bigger picture. And that's a challenge today because life just seems to move so fast. This is the last week of September, and so that just boggles the mind that we've already reached this point in the year, and life just seems to be flying by, and that just heightens the pressure and the perceived necessity to just focus on these little details and get these minute little things accomplished with our lives, and that causes us sometimes to not see the big picture of what's really going on. And we miss things when that happens. We miss things that perhaps God is trying to show us and tell us. And so I want to encourage you this week to take some time, find some time, and pause this week to admire God's work, even to just simply admire God and what He does, and give yourself the opportunity to see the bigger picture. David in Psalm 8, he is speaking of God's majesty and God's greatness. He says in Psalm 8:1, Lord, our Lord, how magnificent is your name throughout all the earth. David talks about how God has, ordered the heavens and created everything. And this kind of dwelling on God's greatness and His works causes David to reach this conclusion almost that, who is man, it says later in Psalm 8, that God would be mindful of him, that God would think of man. God can do so many great things and has done so many great things, and yet He's still mindful of you and me. And so David, number one, he recognizes God's greatness, right? He sees the forest, right? He doesn't miss the bigger picture, and he's able to admire God's greatness. But also, through that, David is able to recognize God's disposition towards man. That yes, God can do so many great things, but God still thinks of man and cares for man and loves mankind. And so that's important for us to remember. And so this week, take time to be in awe of God and what He does. Take time to be in awe of what God has done, but also let that remind you of your place in God's creation, that God thinks of you and loves you. Have a blessed day.